Guys, when something is this good, I have to tell you about it. Let's get it. What's going on YouTube? I am Darian, the Bowtie Fragrance Guy on the Fashion and Fragrance channel, man. So if you're into both those things, not only smelling good, but looking good as well, then this is the channel for you. Hit subscribe. Make sure you hit the bell icon as well. That way, anytime new content is uploaded, you'll get notified. On today's video, guys, I'm going to talk to you guys about a fragrance that has come into my life and it has blown me away. I am literally obsessed with this fragrance. Like, seriously, no cap. I love this fragrance. If you know anything about me, one of my favorite notes in perfumery is the note of amber. And the fragrance that I'm going to talk about today has plenty of it. Now, I don't want to get into too much of a description right now because I want to save that for the review, but I am going to be talking about a fragrance from what I think is a relatively new niche brand, Narcotica, and the fragrance, I think I'm pronouncing this right, is called Doza. So if you want to see my thoughts on it, you know the routine. Keep it locked right here. Let's get it.
The Bowtie Fragrance Guy.
All right, guys, we are back. Thank you so much for keeping it locked in. Let's go ahead and jump into this video. First and foremost, guys, I got this fragrance from Crystal Fragrances. Now, I want to be clear about something. I bought about over $1,200 worth of fragrances from Crystal Fragrances, and they actually threw this one in with my order. You know, we conversed back and forth because I had to make some changes to my order, and she realized who I was. And we started talking. And we started talking about this fragrance, and this is one that she threw in with my order. So of all the fragrances, and I think that fragrance, all the fragrances I purchased that day with this one, I got about 7 fragrances in that day at one time. I know, I'm crazy. But listen, this was probably the best out of all the fragrances that I got that day. And I said to myself, I have to tell you guys about this fragrance. Now, the name of the fragrance is called Doza, and it is from the house of Narcotica. And from what I understand, because I looked on Lucky Scent, so I'm not 100% sure about this, I couldn't confirm it, but on Lucky Scent's website, it says that Doza means near perfect. And if that's the meaning, then I think they hit it out of the park, because in my humble opinion, for what this guy likes on his skin, this fragrance is darn near perfect. So the presentation from this brand, again, Narcotica, I think is a relatively new fragrance brand. This was honestly the first time I had heard of it, but this is the presentation. It comes in a box like this. You open it this way and it opens out almost like a book. You've kind of seen this kind of presentation before, and your fragrance will rest very securely in the box. All right, so you take it out. All right. And I just love bottles. I love fragrances, that contain amber, because they have this really nice ambery tone to it. Of course, almost cognac, the appearance of cognac as far as the color. Nice brown ambery fragrance. It says the name of the house and the fragrance on the front, Narcotica Doza Amber Intense, and this is an straight to parfum concentration. So you already know this thing performs like an absolute monster. Not really anything going on the sides or the bottom, but on the cap it does have the name of the brand on top. Hopefully you'll be able to see this. There it is. So that says Narcotica on the top. And I just want to go ahead and jump into what this thing smells like. All right, so the opening of this particular fragrance, guys, this is something that, if you guys rock with what I rock with, I'm going to tell you now, the opening of this fragrance may be a little bit challenging for some. Not for me, but I will tell you for some of you, because it has a very unique set of notes in the opening. You have some black currant, you have some cypress in here as well. You have incense in this one as well. And so it really opens up kind of bitter, green, and slightly earthy. Now, I don't get a lot of the incense initially, but I actually start to pick up the incense about 5 minutes in. But that initial blast to me is really green, slightly earthy, and it's spicy because there's some black pepper on the tail end of the opening of this fragrance as well. And I know some of you that may kind of throw you off. Cypress is not my favorite note, but it is done well in this fragrance, and I actually really like the opening of the fragrance. Now, the thing, of course, you guys know about top notes, they are the most volatile notes in a fragrance composition. So after about 5 minutes, that green earthiness starts to kind of subside, and that kind of bitterness that comes from that black currant starts to kind of subside. And my gosh, does this thing get good when those top notes especially start to kind of dissipate. You start to get a little bit more of that smokiness from the incense. And like I said, I don't pick up as much as that in the initial blast, but you start to get that smokiness from incense, and you start to get the most beautiful ambery accord, that one of the best I've ever smelled in this fragrance. Now, there's something gourmand about it. And when I really started to look into the notes of this fragrance, it has vanilla bean in here. So vanilla bean is a little bit different from the typical vanilla that I've smelled in fragrances, because it has more of this gourmand feel to it. And I think that's what drives me so crazy about this fragrance, because I love that ambery gourmand feel that I get when this fragrance starts to dry down. And I can smell it, the gourmand kind of touch from the bottle. Very ambery, very gourmand. Guys, you gotta smell this thing. I'm telling you, you have to smell. You gotta smell this fragrance. Like I said, when you first smell it, you get that green earthiness. A little bit green, a little bit earthy, a little bit bitter, because that's that, again, that black currant, that cypress, the black pepper as well, that spiciness in the opening. But it's so good. That's what gives this fragrance and makes it so unique. So different from any other amber fragrance that I have in my collection. All right? But again, it starts to dry down after about 5 minutes. You start to get the most beautiful ambery tone, amber accord that I've ever smelled, along with this gourmand vanilla bean note in the heart. My God, this is good. Guys, listen. You got to get your nose on this, man. There's a little bit of course, getting the, like I said, spiciness in here because of the incense, but there's also a note of tobacco. All right, but it's a blonde tobacco, so it's not like probably the typical tobacco that you're accustomed to smelling in a lot of tobacco fragrances, but again, gives more, I think it kind of contributes to that smoky undertone that I'm getting from the incense, and that's kind of underneath that amber and that vanilla bean in the heart. My God, man, I'm telling you guys, I absolutely love this fragrance. Now, guys, as this fragrance dries all the way down, you're still going to get the amber. You're still going to get that gourmand vanilla bean in here as well. And you still get some smokiness. So those are the three accords that you're going to get the full way. You get the gourmand vanilla bean for the duration of the fragrance. You get that nice, sweet, resinous amber. And you're going to get some smokiness the whole way through this fragrance. Now, there's actually labdanum in here as well as guaiac wood, and that kind of contributes to that kind of smoky feel that you're going to continue to get when the fragrance dries down. And in the dry down, you also met with some sweet balsamic spiciness from myrrh. I'm telling you guys, this for me, for what I love in a fragrance, in an environment in the fragrance world where there's a lot of, the same, much of this has been the same. This is something that inspired me, and that's something I've been looking for a lot lately, a fragrance to really inspire me. And this particular fragrance did that for me. Again, I can't tell you guys how much I love this fragrance, man. My goodness, this is good. It's good because, again, as much as I love amber fragrances, I don't have anything in my collection that smells anything like this. And I have what I would consider probably about 25 really good amber fragrances. We're talking about Amber Absolute from Tom Ford. We're talking about Ambre Aria from Parfum Aroma. We're talking about Ambre Sultan from the house of Serge Lutens. There's a lot of great ambers that I have in my collection, and this is top notch. Amber Sapphire from Bodicea Victorious. This is definitely entered into my top 5. Without question, it's entered into my top 5 amber fragrances in my collection, and that is really saying something. Now, as I said before in the opening, this is an Extrait de Parfum, so obviously it performs really great. I get really great projection, even though it's an Extrait de Parfum, so it has more oil in the fragrance than alcohol than a typical fragrance, but I still get pretty good projection that first 2 hours, and then it sits about an arm's length on my skin, and that lasts for about 6 or 7 hours. So I don't have to dig all the way in, even 6 or 7 hours into it to pick it up. It still gives me about an arm's length almost for the first 6 or 7 hours of the wearing. But complete longevity, I'm looking at 8.5 to 9 hours. You know, I've worn this several times since I've had it. I actually posted on Instagram the first time I wore it. And again, just really experimenting with it, and I've gotten great performance. Obviously, a fragrance that is composed primarily of amber and more rich resinous balsamic tones. This is a fragrance that will work perfectly in the fall and the winter. Now, obviously, when you get into spring, depending on if it's a cooler day, you could probably do it then as well, but I wouldn't wear this kind of fragrance personally in the summertime because it's rich, it's deep, it's sweet, and it's balsamic. And again, typically those kind of scent DNAs are going to work better in the cooler temperatures. But you know, again, this is a dynamite fragrance, man. I can really see it being versatile. I could wear this on a date night. Honestly, I would wear it date night. I would dress it up to a more formal occasion as well. Doesn't really come across to me as a more casual fragrance, but you know, to each his or her own. But guys, I'm telling you, perfect 10 out of 10 fragrance, easily in my collection, and I absolutely love this fragrance. Now guys, Crystal has been nice enough, if you guys want to go over there and check out Doza, or if you want to check out any other fragrance that they have over at Crystal Fragrances, you can use my discount code BOWTIE10 to get 10% off any order over $50, or you can use the code BOWTIE20, which doesn't, from what she said, doesn't work on all brands, but some brands over there you can try the code BOWTIE20 and actually get 20% off of your order. From what she said, this particular brand you can only do the 10%, but I think some other fragrances you can even get samples of, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, guys, check it out. It's from the house of Narcotica. If you're looking for something new, something unique, and something different, check out Doza from the house of Narcotica. But that's it, guys. That is my time. I hope you enjoyed this review today of a new fragrance in my collection from a relatively new niche house, the house of Narcotica. Again, this one is called Doza. As always, I sincerely appreciate your time and your attention to these videos. I know you guys don't have to watch, but you do, and I sincerely appreciate that. Now, don't forget to make sure you take a few moments to go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. And make sure you are sharing these out to somebody that you think could use this information or find it entertaining. Because I'm your guy, Darren. I'm the Bowtie Fragrance Guy. I love to look good, and of course, I love to smell amazing. So until next time, guys, keep looking good, keep smelling even better. I'll catch you on the flip side.